Hey, welcome back to another Black City coffee vlog. In this video, I have some updates for you. So a couple days ago, we went to go visit a custom packaging place. These guys. Okay. So we had a nice conversation with them. It was the first time to ever sit down and talk about packaging and what we were actually looking at, like in terms of quantities and, you know, just kind of like basic logistical stuff. So that was really informative because we've never dealt with anything like that before. And it was awesome because they can really do packaging, even fulfillment for us, maybe in the future or something like that. But we were able to just see from top to bottom, like, okay, if you want to put your coffee in a store and it can stand up this tall, or it could sit on a tabletop, or custom bags, stuff like this, right? And so it was just really informative, really educating, and the owners over there are really nice and just, you know, walked us through what the process was. So we are in talks of creating a display case, like a tabletop one. The first one is going to be in the Donut Life Museum, and we want to do this as soon as possible because you know, like, this was our first time kind of going about it, but I've already done the roast, right? So these guys are going to be good to drink in about 6 days or so. So they're resting now in the bags, which is fine, which is cool. But I want to get all of this stuff kind of like on the ball so that it could be at its freshest. The fact that all these bags are gusseted, or they have that one-way valve in there, that's really going to save our coffee for being fresh long term. So it's great. I don't expect this to be dragged out any longer than it needs to be. So I'll be launching, my goal is to launch very soon with this. Okay, so we had another meeting today with the Donut Life Museum, and we were able to meet with all the partners there, and just kind of, I gave them samples of this blend, which is going to be called Buena Onda. So I wanted to pay homage to where the countries were, which is, it's a Colombian and Nicaraguan blend, and Buena Onda means good vibes. So I'm developing and designing all of the labeling for that right now. It's basically in its final stages. And then I'm gonna have just a small run of them printed out, get that situated onto the bags, and then think about creating and upgrading all the labels for our other 1-pound bags as well. So we'll see how this run does, and if it does well, then we can create another new exclusive blend. I don't know, I'm really open to it. I'm interested in getting artists involved. If, you know, we could do like a competition sort of thing, like who has the best design, and we could, you know, help each other out and collab that way as well. So it'd be like a 3-way collab, like an artist, us, and Donut Life Museum. And I'd love to do this across the board, you know, wherever we can put our coffee and use coffee as a vehicle for good things, you know. Okay, so that was basically it. The owners of the Donut Life Museum were very excited about it. I gave them samples of the blend itself, and I was able to show them the bags and kind of work through kind of like what I was thinking on the marketing end. I definitely want to head up in there. I've already been there already and took lots of photos for their grand opening. Again, because of COVID, their grand opening would never really happen. So we can still kind of sneak in with an extended grand opening finish line and also promote Black City coffee as well. So that'll be really cool. It kind of all worked out for the better, I guess, in some ways. I don't know, it's just, it's pretty exciting, but I'm stoic throughout it all. It's exciting in that I get to talk to people and help guide people to better coffee. You know, even we had a coffee enthusiast amongst the owners of the Donut Life Museum. I was still explaining things like what this valve is for. I was still explaining origin, freshness, things like this. So there's so many people who have yet to discover this amazing world of coffee that you and I know about here on YouTube, if you're watching my videos. But so many people, like, I don't know if you have the same feeling that maybe you're a coffee enthusiast and you understand a pretty good amount about coffee and you would love to share that, or even want others to convert to drinking better coffee like you. And they're still drinking like Mickey D's or, you know, Starbucks or something like that. And you're like, oh, you could have it so much better though, you know? There's always that thing inside. Yeah, so, you know, my mission is to just guide people to better coffee. And I am thinking about roasting dark. And the fact that Derek said, you know, you're a really good roaster if you can roast dark, but you still have nuance. So, where I completely wrote off dark roast before, I'm now intrigued to it, and I'm also intrigued to decaf a little bit. I did, one, because there's a demand for it, and two, I'm curious now. I'm curious to see how it will roast. I did a little bit of research earlier this morning, and the Swiss water process is basically a process where they're hydrating and dehydrating coffee beans in a certain amount of time, and this sort of expansion and shrinking of the bean makes the moisture content inside the bean very volatile. And so you have to take it very, very easy with the roast process. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? Like lower than 350? Like, is it super long, like a 16 to a 19-minute roast? Like, what's that about? And being able to control the heat during that time. And now the process of roasting becomes very interesting, even though I wouldn't necessarily drink it, or, you know, it's not number one on my list or anything like that. But just the process of doing it. I think that maybe the technicality and the skill intrigues me more as a roaster. So, yeah, that's what happened today. I'm still sort of digesting. I've done, right when we got home, I went to the computer, started designing, working on final designs, working on promo marketing material, and just kind of putting more thoughts down on paper. And this is new. And it's also, this is right where I live. I love to design stuff. I'm a quick start. But going through the whole gambit of things, like, okay, like how do we make this efficient, or how do we make money? Like the whole money part, that's like my husband's biggest concern. How are we going to make money? My concern is guiding people to better coffee, of course, and roasting really good coffee, and then building a brand around that I really care about, and that is truly Blkcity. And we're still trying to figure out who Blkcity is, because I believe when you first create a business or a brand or whatever, you know, you have a tendency to want to be married to everything that you just first thought up in that first phase of business. But I've learned through many, many failures is that not to do that, not to get married, not to be so emotionally attached to things in the beginning, because things change. And I think, especially as a designer, as a roaster, as an artist who can be so emotionally wrapped up in everything that I do with coffee or anything that I have my personal touch in, there is a sense of stoicism, Zen-like behavior that I need to remember to execute during, well, the whole time actually, but right now is the most pressing time that I need that strength. That strength of Zen, of stoicism, of like, okay, all right, cool. Like to just call him as you see him and not get so attached or be emotional. And I don't say this to be like, oh, be cold in your in your passion. No, that's still on fire for sure. But because there are other players in the game with you, you need to learn to kind of have things in Zen, you know, in homeostasis, and always return to homeostasis when you're dealing with other players, because the moment people get involved, that means egos get involved. So when you're dealing with other people's egos, that can get kind of like, not the best or most fun part of the job of starting something, creating something, seeing something come to life, making sure that it is successful by whatever means that you deem is successful. Yeah. So that's just been kind of little bit of stuff that I'm experiencing with my husband, not with other players, mostly with my husband. I'm like, hey, I'm steering this ship, remember? You steer that ship. I steer this ship. And then me not getting, too offended, and still being able to be like, no, remember, like, you're over there, I'm over here. That's your role, this is my role. Capiche? And, you know, like drawing lines in the sand, healthy lines in the sand, because if you're all over everybody's space, it begins to feel very crowded, and you'll maybe lose some of that fire, or some of that sense of ownership that I feel like you need that in the beginning. You know, I'm always willing to let certain things go because I know it's coming. If I want this thing to grow, you have to learn to let things go. So I'm always kind of balancing that because I've been there, done that already. So with Blkcity, it's a lot of just remembering to keep egos in check, staying calm, staying zen, not getting emotionally attached to everything. You're not married to anything. Everything will evolve and grow and change. And I'm willing and ready to let things grow and evolve and change. All right, so that's today's video. More qualitative than quantitative, but some cool things. You know, I show you guys the designs that I'm working on here. Get hyped. If you're in the OC area, it'd be cool for you to see what we're doing here and come on down to the Donut Life Museum. I'll let you know whenever that date is, but pretty soon, in July, most likely. Okay, so good things. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.